Whenever SpaceX prepares to launch the Starship rocket, their primary concern is often not the technical challenges, but rather securing approval from the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA. Despite having their rockets ready for months, SpaceX has repeatedly had to delay launches due to regulatory holdups. This has happened several times before, and now as they gear up for the much-anticipated Starship Flight 5, they are once again facing the same issue. The FAA has yet to give the green light for the launch, causing frustration for both Musk and space enthusiasts alike. We're going to talk about the latest situation with SpaceX and the ongoing delays for Starship Flight 5. But before we jump in, if you're a fan of SpaceX and want a cool Starship model, check out the link in the description. Now, let's get into the video and see what's causing the delay. SpaceX has been prepared for Starship Flight 5 since early August 2024, after successfully conducting static fire tests for both the Super Heavy booster and the Starship's upper stage. However, they've been unable to launch due to the FAA's delayed approval, which has now pushed the launch date to late November. This delay marks over 2 months of waiting, primarily due to the FAA's environmental reviews. These reviews include concerns about the impact of Starship's sonic booms on wildlife and the environmental effects of SpaceX's water-cooled steel flame deflector, despite Texas authorities already clearing it for use. Musk has expressed growing frustration over the regulatory delays that have continuously hampered SpaceX's efforts to launch Starship. He's been vocal about these issues on social media, criticizing how long it takes to secure the necessary permits, often pointing out that while SpaceX has been technically ready for months, they remain grounded due to FAA regulatory hurdles. These delays affect not just SpaceX's ambitious schedule, but also larger space exploration goals, such as NASA's Artemis missions, which rely on commercial launches like Starship. In fact, the issue has escalated to the point where several space industry companies, alongside SpaceX, took their complaints to Congress. They raised concerns about the FAA's overly complex and slow licensing process under the new Part 450 regulations, which were designed to streamline launches but have ironically created more delays. During a recent Senate hearing, SpaceX and other companies criticized the FAA for inefficiencies, particularly the pre-application process, where companies face endless obstacles with the agency on how to meet performance-based requirements. This stage alone can drag out for years without clear guidance. The pressure on the FAA has led to the proposal of a portfolio license, which would allow companies like SpaceX to receive approvals for multiple launches at once, instead of needing separate licenses for each launch. Additionally, the FAA promised to establish an aerospace rulemaking committee to improve the Part 450 process. However, as of the last update, the committee had not yet been fully established. This isn't the first time SpaceX has faced such setbacks. Following Starship Flight 4 in June, the FAA requested more than 63 corrective actions after an investigation into a mishap. Although SpaceX quickly implemented all the necessary changes, the approval process dragged on, just as it has with previous flights. The company has dealt with significant gaps between launches, each test flight facing delays due to regulatory and environmental concerns. The environmental reviews focus on the sonic booms created by the returning Super Heavy booster and their potential effect on local wildlife. The FAA has also raised concerns about the operation of the water-cooled flame deflector, despite SpaceX's assurances that it operates within regulatory standards. The company has made significant efforts to minimize its environmental impact, yet the FAA has requested additional analysis. SpaceX would have easily completed all its tests and launched the Starship for crewed missions if it had the same level of government support Boeing has. Despite Boeing's strong government backing and the influence they gain through lobbying, they are still struggling to deliver their Starliner spacecraft. After nearly 3 months at the International Space Station, Boeing's Starliner finally returned to Earth without a crew. While Boeing and NASA called it a success, the fact remains: leaving astronauts stuck in space is a huge issue. This only adds to the existing doubts about the Starliner program, which has already been delayed multiple times and faced a series of technical problems. What's more, Boeing seems frustrated with the whole project. There are growing signs that the company might cancel Starliner altogether. Boeing didn't even show up for the usual post-mission press conference, something they normally do to provide updates. This raised questions about their commitment to the program. Boeing has poured years and billions of dollars into Starliner, but has little to show for it. In 2022 alone, the company reported a loss of $1.47 billion, mostly from Starliner-related issues. In 2023, problems with wiring and parachutes delayed the crewed flight test even further, pushing the mission to 2024. Their losses continue to grow, with no successful crewed mission yet. To make things worse, it's looking less likely that Boeing will meet NASA's contract requirements for 6 crewed flights. After almost a decade of trying, they haven't even completed 1 crewed mission yet. Meanwhile, SpaceX has already completed 9 crewed missions under the same contract and is getting ready for its 10th. If Boeing can't turn things around soon, the Starliner project might come to an end. This would not only be a huge embarrassment for Boeing, but it would also hurt their reputation and affect future space missions. The 2 astronauts have now adapted to their extended stay aboard the International Space Station, but the extra time in space comes with challenges that affect both their health and the station's operations. Originally set for an 8-day mission, they've now been in space for months and may not return until February 2025, creating significant concerns. Prolonged stays in microgravity environments like the International Space Station can lead to health problems for astronauts. Wilmore and Williams, like other long-duration space travelers, are likely to experience muscle and bone loss, changes in vision, and a weakened immune system. These physical effects stem from the lack of gravity, which makes it difficult for the body to maintain its normal functions. In addition, they may face mental health challenges, such as isolation and boredom, which are common during extended missions. Although NASA monitors and mitigates these risks with exercise routines and psychological support, the impact on their long-term health remains a serious concern. Their extended stay is also affecting the International Space Station's overall schedule. With 2 extra crew members on board, the International Space Station is operating with a crew of 9 instead of the typical 7, putting a strain on resources like oxygen, food, and water. This overcrowding means that some scheduled missions, including spacewalks and experiments, have been delayed or adjusted to accommodate the longer-than-expected presence of the Starliner crew. Moreover, upcoming crew rotation missions have been disrupted. Other astronauts set to join the International Space Station have had to wait for Wilmore and Williams to leave before they can dock, which has led to further delays in NASA's plans. For instance, the Crew 9 mission was initially expected to proceed smoothly, but it is now being restructured due to the resource strain caused by the extended stay of the current crew. Starliner's problems are not just limited to strange noises. The spacecraft, which was developed by Boeing for NASA's Commercial Crew program, has faced a series of technical issues that have delayed its missions multiple times. After launching in June 2024, with astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams aboard, the plan was for the spacecraft to complete an 8-day mission, dock with the International Space Station, and bring the astronauts back to Earth. However, problems with the propulsion system and helium leaks led NASA to extend their stay on the International Space Station. Eventually, NASA decided it was too risky to bring the astronauts back on Starliner, and instead, they will return to Earth in early 2025 using a SpaceX Dragon capsule. Even before the launch, Boeing was dealing with a helium leak in the propulsion system. This issue was discovered during pre-flight checks, and while it was not considered a major risk, it caused the launch to be delayed from May to June. The leak was found in a system that pressurizes the propellant for the spacecraft's thrusters, which are used for maneuvering. Engineers fixed the leak by adjusting parts of the system, and the launch went ahead as planned. However, this was only one of the many issues Starliner has encountered. Once in space, more problems occurred. Several of the spacecraft's thrusters failed to work properly, which created concerns about Starliner's ability to operate as expected. NASA and Boeing engineers had to switch to backup thrusters to ensure that the spacecraft could safely dock with the International Space Station. Even though the backup systems worked, the malfunctioning thrusters raised questions about the spacecraft's reliability and performance. Given the number of issues Starliner faced, NASA made the decision that it wasn't safe for Wilmore and Williams to return to Earth on the spacecraft. Instead, their return has been postponed until February 2025, when they will be brought back using a SpaceX Dragon capsule. If you've made it this far, we've got a special surprise just for you. We're offering a highly realistic Starship model exclusively for our loyal viewers. Since you've stuck with us through the entire video, that means you're part of the loyal crew. So why wait? Head over and grab your own Starship model now. Thanks for watching our video. We appreciate your time and support, and we hope to see you in the next one.